Lyre of the Lion by TheNightNinja2. Chapter 27. Shenanigans. Louisa lay in bed that night after realizing she had been awake longer than she should have been because the housewarming party had been late in the evening, and they had arrived on the dawn treader in the mid-afternoon and had stayed awake until at least 2 in the morning. This all felt like a dream. A wonderful dream she never wanted to wake up from. But she knew she needed sleep. Tomorrow was another day of hard work to keep the ship sailing. Mirabelle had stumbled into the cabin around an hour after Louisa and had discarded most of her clothes except the chemise she had taken to wearing since her early Narnian days. "What made you finally come to bed? Destroy another pair of shoes?" asked Lucy in a teasing tone. Louisa hadn't realized the younger girl was still awake. Mirabelle stuck her tongue out at Lucy before both girls cackled in laughter. "You doing all right, Lulu?" asked Mirabelle. "I just spent hours having my gift again, and haven't had to carry a single donkey or lift anything ridiculous. I feel like I'm in a dream," said Louisa. "Now that I'm back in Narnia, I'm anxious to see what my powers are really capable of. Something tells me they're fire-based, but I haven't gotten the opportunity to test them, because it would have been a poor reflection of myself to use my magic when my family doesn't have any," said Mirabelle, laying back in her hammock. "But no one else on the ship has powers. Wouldn't it be the same thing?" worried Louisa. "Narnia is full of magic. Everyone has a little bit of it, since it's in the air we breathe. Using my powers would be merely me being me. And I descended into a mythical being years ago, so the true extent of my abilities is shrouded in legend. Some stories have me glowing without the aid of flame or the sun, but those are huge exaggerations," said Mirabelle. "Well, you were glowing when you collapsed Casita and took the candle away," said Louisa. "That was the realization of my powers, not the powers themselves. It was mostly raw Narnian magic pouring out of me. Harmless in nature, but terrifying to witness," said Mirabelle. "If you're the daughter of the miracle, then wouldn't it make sense you would have more than one power?" asked Lucy. "That's why I need to test it, because I have absolutely no idea," said Mirabelle. The next morning was the first full day aboard the Dawn Treader. The 3 girls got dressed, and Lucy noticed Mirabelle put on her armor set out to be over her dress, one of her most recent creations. It was a mix of scarlet, amber, orange and yellow, all swirling like smoke, and made out of fabric as fluid as satin, but breathable as cotton, with the durability of silk, and it went perfectly with the armor. "We are unlikely to be attacked on these waters, and a mail is so heavy. Are you sure you want to wear it today?" asked Lucy. Mirabelle considered her sister's words. "I think I'd be more comfortable with it on. Pirates could still attack, or someone might want to spar," said Mirabelle. "You don't like feeling vulnerable," said Louisa softly. Mirabelle nodded and fastened her sword to her hip, and Susan's bow and quiver on her back and the other hip. "How do you expect to do anything with all that on you?" asked Lucy. "I always have my sword at me, unleashed. I don't go anywhere without it," said Mirabelle. "When did you trade your bow for a sword? I know you used one last time we were here, but in the old days you exclusively used your bow." "What changed, little sister?" asked Lucy. "Harder to make my point with armor with a bow instead of a sword. Some people only lessen with a blade on their throat," said Mirabelle. Louisa thought Mirabelle looked much older now than she had yesterday, but maybe it was the lighting. Breakfast was a spirited affair. Louisa still didn't know exactly what she was eating, but she had never been picky. After a bit of convincing from Lucy, Mirabelle had been persuaded to keep the bow and quiver in their quarters. Louisa went on to help the men with the rigging and other things to keep the ship moving. Mirabelle was at the helm with Drinian, consulting the map, and Antonio was being looked after by Reepicheep, who was telling him all the great things that had happened in Narnia over the past 3 years. Everyone's attention was suddenly turned to the bow of the ship, where Eustace was running away from a very angry Antonio, who was wielding his dagger at the pompous prick. "No one hurts my friends," said Antonio, with the undertone of a growl. something he clearly had picked up from Percy. "Tonito, what happened?" asked Mirabel. "He grabbed Signor Reepicheep by the tail and swung him around like some kind of toy," said Antonio. "The young prince drew his blade on my attacker with the swiftness and protectiveness only the teachings of his mother could have instilled in him," said Reepicheep, bowing to Mirabel. "Reepicheep, do you demand satisfaction of duelling your attacker, or does pride in your student give you enough satisfaction?" asked Mirabel.
"Should the great mouse decline the duel, the House of Madrigal still demands satisfaction, and I will duel the coward in Sir Reepicheep's place,"
said Louisa. Anyone who hurt a Narnian, especially a friend of Mira and Antonio, was not a friend of hers. Eustace paled at the idea of fighting the large, imposing woman.
"Many thanks, my lady, but a simple apology will appease my honour in this case, as my pride is mended by the actions of the young prince,"
said Reepicheep, bowing to Louisa. Louisa bowed to the mouse before going back to her work, but not without glaring at Eustace. She too had taken a shine to the chief mouse.
"Louisa, I am curious how much our sister has taught you. Perhaps a friendly duel will show us your skills,"
asked Edmund. Mirabel handed her sword to Louisa. "Go on, Lulu. Work can wait," said Mirabel. Louisa nodded. "Oh, do be careful, the both of you," said Lucy. "Don't worry, Lou. I taught Louisa everything she knows," said Mirabel. The duel started, and Louisa realised Edmund's skill was only slightly less than Mirabel's with the blade, but only from lack of continued practice. She had to use that to her advantage. "Go to you, Louisa!" exclaimed Antonio. A large swell rocked the ship, causing both of them to momentarily lose their footing. Edmund was almost able to disarm Louisa, but her grip on her sword was too strong for his manoeuvre. A wave pitched the ship up, and Louisa quickly took the high ground advantage.
"Mira taught you well,"
said Edmund. Louisa was having fun. She saw an opening and would have disarmed Edmund if he hadn't moved his hand just in time.
"You sly fox, you taught her my signature move,"
laughed Edmund, looking briefly at Mirabel. Big mistake. Louisa took advantage of his distraction and his sword flew across the deck. They bowed to each other. "I should have known not to challenge a student of our own sister," joked Edmund. The day progressed, and Mirabel had to stifle laughter as the acts of chivalry and displays of masculinity towards Louisa got more frequent, if such a thing were possible. Poor Louisa was blushing hard as a Minotaur offered his hand to assist her in stepping off a ladder for the third time in an hour. She was getting the same amount of attention and flattering compliments that Isabella would get on a daily basis, and it was strange. "You okay there, Lulu? You look like a tomato," laughed Mirabel. "Tia isn't sick, is she?" asked a worried Antonio. "She's fine, Tonito. Just coming to terms with the fact that there are men who find her very attractive," laughed Mirabel. Louisa blushed harder and looked at the deck. "Face it, Lulu, this was bound to happen at some point. It's just inescapable here, unlike the Encanto." "Why, I've seen Caspian staring at you," teased Mirabel. "But Tia is older than Caspian," said Antonio. "You'll understand when you're older, Tonito. And don't you have a little crush on Cecilia, even though she's a month older than you?" teased Mirabel. "Oh," said Antonio, a small pink tinge in his little cheeks. Mirabel chuckled. Louisa had a barrel on her shoulder.
"May I take that from you, my lady?"
asked one of the men.
"Oh, okay. Careful, it might be rather heavy,"
said Louisa, handing him the barrel. He seemed to strain under the weight of it for a moment, but acted as if it was nothing. "Lulu, this isn't going to stop for a while. I foresee duels for your hand unless Caspian stops it," said Mirabel with a chuckle.
"How do you find this so funny?"
asked Louisa. "Because it's nice seeing people seeing you as more than a workhorse. Noticed how it increased after you showed how skilled you were with a sword? There are a lot of men who find a woman who can hold her own in battle extremely attractive. And your body type is rare in most women here in Narnia, and many men could search their whole lives and never find a woman who could crush their heads between her thighs like a melon as they want," said Mirabel.
"Guys really want that?"
asked Louisa. "More than you realise. Damsels in distress aren't very appealing," said Mirabel.
"How would you know?" asked Louisa.
Because I've seen the way I've been looked at after I come out of a battle. Hair blowing in the wind as I ride my horse, my sword flashing in the sunlight. Many women like strong men, and many men like strong women, said Mirabelle.
Oh, and what's your type? A hopeless romantic who can wield a blade like Mariano?
Teased Louisa. Someone who takes the time to get to know me and love me. But seriously, Lulu, I think the Minotaurs have it bad, said Mirabelle with a counter-tease.
Go back to your maps. I think Drinian is lonely up there at the helm all by himself,
said Louisa playfully, shoving her sister.
Hey! Laughed Mirabelle.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Oh, I like that one. I like the girl talk, and I like that Louisa is being flirted with. I find that very sweet. And that bit with Antonio losing his temper over Eustace being horrible to Reapy Cheap. Okay, running away from a 5-year-old with a dagger. What have you got there? A knife! No! But no one's saying no to Antonio with this one. You go, little prince. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.